Hey all! Welcome to another episode of Unapologetically Me. I am Laura, and today I want to talk about gender. I, as you might know, am a woman, but I don't feel like a woman. I don't feel like a man either. There are a lot of gender stereotypes out there that apply to me. The most popular ones being non-binary, gender fluid, genderqueer, and yet I still identify as a woman. So come with me today as I talk about my gender and discuss how society has impacted it, how religion has impacted it, and how it has impacted me. The intro video takes about 5 seconds, which is more than enough time to hit that like and subscribe button. So ready, set, go. Okay, let's talk about gender. Before I get started, remember, not all stereotypes are incredibly inaccurate. Oftentimes there can be a lot of truth to them, or they can apply to a lot of people across the spectrum. My point is that they don't apply to everybody, and that they're broad generalizations. Think about the culture that you're in. If you're watching this video, it's probably pretty similar to my culture. We might have some differences here and there, but I would be willing to bet that the stereotypes are pretty close. So let's think about some stereotypes for women. Stereotypes like gentle, nurturing, demure, modest, soft, delicate, shy. Oh, and then there's the stereotypes like emotional, or needy, or needs to be taken care of. Women tend to be typecast in our society as the softer of the two genders. So, let's get into some stereotypes about men. What do you think of when you hear the word man? Maybe it's strong, independent, intelligent, leader. Maybe it's that they aren't supposed to show their emotions, or that they're incapable of showing their emotions. Maybe it's that they're just into the outdoors, or beer, or football. Men are the heavy laborers, the strong ones, the capable ones, but also words like provider. And I'm sure you could probably come up with many more stereotypes for both genders that I didn't even mention. Religion also has a lot to say about gender. Christianity had a huge impact on my feelings about gender, my gender specifically. For example, when I became Christian, I struggled with my gender roles in Christianity and what that meant for me and how I was supposed to act and behave. Concepts like being the submissive wife. So the whole the man leads the family like Christ leads the church thing didn't work well for me, and it created a lot of conflict with who I was versus who I was told I was supposed to be. And as much as I tried to submit to that kind of lifestyle, I don't think I was ever really fully able to embrace it. Christianity teaches that the woman should defer to the man on decision-making processes, never rebuke him in public or speak out against him or disagree with him, to pull him aside and do so gently and with kindness. While I agree, that's a pretty good tactic for both genders to use, just in general, the whole idea that you can't disagree with someone in public, even in a way that's productive, is a little bit oppressive, especially when it's directed at the woman and not at both genders equally. Christianity taught me that I should be more soft-spoken, that I should keep my mouth shut and listen more and talk less. As you can see from making these videos, that is also something that I struggled with and never really fully embraced. But it was something that made me feel deficient rather than empowered. So I struggled through my years as a Christian, trying to figure out how I could be the person I needed to be to please God. Christianity teaches modesty, not just of dress, but also of behavior. It teaches women to behave in a certain way that's considered feminine and correct. And when we step outside that, we're not pleasing to God, or we're not being as Christ-like as we could. In other words, as a Christian, I tended to struggle with my masculinity. I tried to push it aside and hide it, and I tried to bring out my femininity. But it was a constant struggle between me and my faith. As though I was the one that was deficient, I was the problem, not teachings or what we had to say about what it means to be a woman. Into Islam, though, is a little bit more interesting. Islam, too, has really strict gender roles in how a woman should act versus how a man should act. And it's strongly discouraged for any sort of man to present himself in a feminine way or for a woman to present herself in a masculine way. Again, these are subjective but very real gender standards. You probably think that when I went into Islam, I not only oppressed my masculine side, but I oppressed my feminine side. Interestingly, the exact opposite happened. When I went into Islam, I actually found my femininity. I was able to nurture it and decide what it meant to be a woman, even if it was from the Islamic perspective at that time. So yes, I oppressed the crap out of my masculine side, Again, feeling that was a deficiency in me. But something good came out of it. I was able to take that feminine side of me and really explore it and play with it. Sure, I wore the hijab and I dressed according to Muslim standards, which meant baggy clothes and not showing off my form. But I was able to embrace fashion and beauty and femininity, soft colors, flowing outfits, whereas normally I would just be in a pair of old jeans and a t-shirt. I found a unique fashion sense and to express myself through it, living out loud, showing the world that, hey, this is who I am. So my time as a Muslim was a really interesting time of self-discovery in regards to my gender. I found that I do have a really strong feminine side, and I was able to really get in touch with it. Like with Christianity, I did oppress a really big part of my gender and who I really am. And so coming out of Islam really taught me to embrace both. It's important to note that while it sounds like I'm being more critical of Christianity and their gender norms versus Islam and their gender norms, I have to get it out there. Both are incredibly strict and oppressive, and both need to be challenged and talked about and discussed. It's not a commentary on which religion is better at handling gender. For me, it was about my personal experience and how being a part of those religions impacted me and my ability or inability to express my gender accurately. But also the good that came out of it, being able to learn about my gender and challenge what it really meant for society to say you have to be this or have to be that. Islam taught me to be feminine, but I have masculine traits, a lot of them. I have a tomboy side. I like to dress comfortably and functionally. Utility is important to me. Look at all these pockets. I love action movies and horror and suspense. I love playing video games. Oh my god, video games. 10 points if you can name this video game. I love using my hands and building and making things. Outdoor activities like hiking, biking, rock climbing, swimming, snowboarding, wakeboarding, you name it. I love having long academic discussions. I cuss. I talk politics. I talk about sex. When I think of my masculine side, I really want people to see that I'm tough, capable, intelligent, strong. I value those things. Those things are important to me. But I have a feminine side too. See? What some might call a girly side. I can be giggly. I love to dress up in ways that make me feel beautiful and confident. And I love to look sexy in a very feminine sort of way. Growing up, I was called a tomboy. As a teen, I was totally just one of the guys. When I did get dolled up, which I'll admit was rare, people suddenly realized that they were dealing with a woman, boobs and all. Part of me really liked seeing their disorientation. I liked being seen as pretty. In fact, I was pretty disappointed that I couldn't encapsulate all those masculine traits of mine and still be seen as feminine and beautiful. And I didn't understand why I had to act a certain way to be considered feminine. Okay, I love chick flicks, I love sappy love stories, and I love Disney movies. Okay, I'll admit, my favorite Disney princess is Mulan, and she's pretty dang badass. And my second favorite is Tiana, and she's fierce and independent. But there's a softer side of me too. I have very female emotions. I'm sensitive. I express my emotions in the way that stereotypical women do, which can be somewhat unpredictably at times. I'm the nurturer. Sure, the disciplinarian might come out now and again, but that's not really who I am. In other words, I have a lot of those soft traits that people think of as being more feminine. I love to look pretty and beautiful. Even if I'm dressed in more masculine clothing, I at least want people to be able to look at me and say, that's a strong woman, or that's a fierce woman, or that's a badass woman. And when I'm dressed up as a woman, I like being beautiful and feminine. When I think of my feminine side, I want people to see me as a woman, nurturing, caring, sensitive. So both of these first two looks are kind of the extremes that encapsulate who I really am. But who am I from day to day? So here I am, me today, a blend of masculine and feminine. When I was younger, I really expressed my masculine side. And going through religion, I really got to examine my feminine side and find out what it really meant to me. And now, coming out of both experiences, I find that I'm really secure and happy with both. I can be masculine in one setting, be feminine in another setting, but in my day-to-day functioning, I can be a blend of both genders and express what I want to express at any given moment. I still call myself a woman because I don't think that culture is qualified to tell me what it means for me to be a woman. I don't think they're qualified to tell you what it means for you to be a man or a woman. Clearly, there needs to be a little bit more flexibility in our gender stereotypes and how we're expected to express our genders. As a blend, I can do things like go and be a volunteer firefighter, hauling equipment, working with tools, dragging hoses, even driving the fire truck, albeit just around the parking lot. And then the next day, I can be making bows and sewing dresses while chatting with my girlfriend. I can spend 8 hours a day manufacturing sheet metal, but I can also spend a Saturday up doing my daughter's hair. I love the gender expressions that I have, both the masculine and the feminine. But I do have to admit they have a downside too. On the masculine side, I can be really gruff and sarcastic in a way that sometimes hurts people's feelings, when what I really meant to do was make them laugh. On the feminine side, I can be overly sensitive. Sometimes I cry at the drop of a hat, and I don't even know where the emotions are coming from or why I'm sad. Sometimes I give someone that nurturing mother when what they really want is that funny, sarcastic bitch back there to just lighten their mood. So I have to admit, my gender expressions do have their pros and cons. But enough about me. Let's talk about your gender expressions for a second. How do you identify? If you identify as a male, do you have a feminine side? Do you feel like you can express it? Do you feel like people accept it? Or is it something that you hide or only bring out during certain times or with certain people? If you're a female, same questions. Do you have a masculine side? Do you feel like you're free to express it? Do you express it only in certain situations or around certain people? Or are you one of those people that have settled in like me and can give zero fucks what people think about your gender? Let me know in the comment section below how you express your gender and how it makes you feel. How do you label yourself? How has society and even religion impacted your expressions of gender or your thoughts or understandings about what it means to be whatever gender you are? These conversations are important and they will help to shape and change our culture to more accurately represent a fuller spectrum of gender and what it means to be male and female. Okay, so I think that's a good place to kind of wrap it up and put a bow on it and save more for next time. But for now, all I have to say is keep asking questions, stay skeptical. Remember, the truth holds up to scrutiny, but also cultural expectations can be changed and shifted. With enough voices, we can redefine what gender means. All right, everybody, until next time, bye!